You're listening to WooSox Insider, presented by your Worcester Red Sox.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the WooSox Insider Podcast. As always, I'm your host, TQ, alongside Dylan McCaffrey and our fantastic producer, Dave Leonardi. Today, we have my favorite guest so far. I'm going to say it right off the front. Right off the top of the show, my favorite guest so far is Decaf's haircut. It looks fantastic. No, but in all seriousness, we're joined by Alex Richardson today, who does incredible work all around not only the greater Worcester area, but New England and far beyond. So, Alex, thanks so much for joining us.
You know, when you started to introduce the greatest guests that you guys have had, I started to smile, but for some reason, I deep down inside, I knew you were not going to say me. So I knew it, but that is fine.
There's a lot of podcasts left. You can stake that claim. We just got to get there. I got a haircut working today from in Alston. TQ gave me finally the right spot at VIP. My dad said last week the Sunnies looked great. So, Dad, this is for you. I'm bringing them back. I think that I can make this a regular part of my style. I don't know. I might just start working in more Sunnies, more like I don't know, white t-shirts out in here with chains popping out. I might have to get some swag going and pull apart productions.
I was gonna say you're literally the white version of Jonathan Arauz.
Yes. Me and Uzi. I heard they're calling him Uzi. Is that
the ooze?
The ooze. That's incredible.
So that was a couple of weeks ago on the radio broadcast. Cooper was like, I see on some obscure like baseball website that's definitely not official. He was like, his only listed nickname I could find is the ooze. And I was in there with him and I was like, Coop, that's disgusting. Let's not call him the ooze. But apparently it's stuck.
I kind of like it.
It's caught on in the control room. Whenever he comes up, I hear it all throughout the room.
The ooze.
The ooze is good. Speaking of drip, though, Alex, you show up on game days with some fits sometimes. I've seen you in plaid pants, like some brown and yellow plaid pants. Where does that come from? Do you just look around and try to find something no one else is rocking that you can pull off, or how does that come about?
Yeah, I got it from my father. He's a shoe head and loves repping just different brands, but I kind of like sticking to certain brands. But all my clothes, the majority of my clothes come from aisle 10 at Marshall's, which is the clearance rack. So that's where I typically get my stuff. And I just like looking at it and just say, hey, do I have a pair of shoes that can fit this? And if I have a pair of shoes that can fit it, I'll rock it. Because I probably have around 42 different pairs of shoes, ranging from predominantly New Balance, predominantly Converse. So I like just kind of wearing something flashy because, I don't necessarily dress like the Charleses of the world, the Dr. Charles of the world, suit and tie every day, the coat jacket and everything. I like dressing and simplifying things because that's just how I am, just a simple person.
I was asking Alex one day if he could teach me his style, and he let me know it couldn't be taught. And then I was in his bedroom one day looking at all his shoes, like, man, how do I get shoes like this, style like this? He reaches onto the shelf, he grabs a pair, he says, here, take these, stop bothering me about it. So I got a pair of shoes from Alex. Now I got the Alex Richardson swag when I walk in every day, and that's all I needed was just the one pair of shoes.
And those were Converse too, right? I think I gave you a pair of Converse. Nah, but it's I'm not kidding when I say I have 42. Like Decaf, you saw it.
Yeah.
So,
he has shoes to spare.
I have shoes to spare. And what happens is, growing up, I should have used it for books, but it's literally a bookshelf. That I was like, I have nowhere else. Like, I don't like keeping the boxes. I don't want to like stack them in my room. Like, I just want to put a bookshelf and just shuffle all my shoes. So each row has 6 different pairs that I'm able to stack them, 3 and then 3 on top. So it's, growing up, I probably should have had books instead of shoes.
So this is our manager of community relations. He was reading some kids this morning, but his bookshelves are full of just sneakers. Alex Richardson, so wonderful to have you here. Before we even get into what you actually do, I want to say how much you do for productions, because you started out in Pawtucket, coming up a little bit through productions, and even still to this day, we need an extra camera operator or someone to take pictures in an event. You're the guy. And even down to like the little details last week. Roberto the Rocket, hits a walk-off home run. And in the 90 seconds between when he touches home plate and the post-game interview, I got to give Alex a call and say, Alex, does Roberto speak English? Yeah, a little bit. Okay, thank you. That's enough. That's all I need. He's the man. He's there for that. He's always picking up the phone. He's Alex Richardson. So great to have him on.
Thank you. I think we all got to work together. I think the biggest thing for me is I didn't realize, because I was a criminology, sociology double major at Assumption, what is now Assumption University, but it was Assumption College. And then I had a minor in human services and rehabilitation studies. That's a mouthful to say. But essentially, like, I love music. I love videos. I love photography. And then when I had the opportunity, as an intern, with Joe Bradley to help out a little bit with social media, I was like, I'm down with that. I'm all for it. And it was just so cool to kind of see the equipment, because, I liked, taking pictures on my iPhone or, back in the day, the flip phone, and then just trying to edit it through the app, itself of the camera and the photos. And then you taught me Lightroom and then all this stuff. So it's just like, to me, it's so interesting. And I love artwork too, is just having the ability to tell and depict a story based off of a still shot or a video. So that's why, credit to all you guys and the rest of your staff. It really is an artwork. It is talent, but at the same time, it's infectious, because, you look at one photo and you go, and then you think about so many different things, what that photo represents, what that photo means. So I just always was in love with it. But then when I got a little bit of taste of it, and I like food, when I got a little taste, eat it all up, man. I wanted to eat that up.
So you weren't coming into it blind either. You had one of the earliest viral TikToks that was surrounding the Boston Red Sox that I think anybody really saw. Why don't you walk us through what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I will 100% walk it through. Just graduated Assumption. My close, best friend, Phil Gaines, his mother actually got us tickets. Myself, Phil, and I think my buddy Nick went. And we were sitting up on the Sam Adams deck, just having a couple sips. And then it was against the Cleveland Indians. Yeah, it was against Cleveland. And we looked up, and the row, like literally right here, there was a guy who just had and was just collecting all the empty beer plastic cups.
So this is before COVID, by the way.
This is before COVID. This is 2019. No, it might have been. Yeah, I think it was 2019.
Yeah, summer 2019.
Yeah. So then he just was collecting everyone's cups, right? And then he just started to stack them. And then he got to the final two, and then he had the last solo cup. And then I just whip out my phone, because I'm like, this thing is massive. This thing is 10 feet by 10 feet. Like, I gotta take a video of it. So he goes to put the last cup right on top. And I'm literally angled this way. The stack of cups is right here. And then all of a sudden, I see this guy in the corner of my eye start walking down the aisle in front of me, or right here next to me. So then I turn my camera, I get him. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be some TMZ stuff right here. All of a sudden, he just walked by holding his own beer and just went.
Oh my!
Knocked it down. There was actually, so when I posted that video, I posted it first on TikTok, and it ended up blowing up. I think I had like 3.5 million views, like 500,000 likes from it. I had 20,000 people who ended up following me. I don't even have access to my TikTok anymore. But it was really funny that the fact that it took off, and I became TikTok famous from that video, or that video went viral. And it has nothing to do with me. I wasn't even in it. You couldn't even tell that I was a person taking the video. And I had to prove it to people. There's one little shot right before, and you see my buddy's, Assumption A shirt. That's the only proof that I have that it is my video.
That production's background, it comes in so clutch in this job. Whenever you think that you're getting away from productions, you're just too talented at it. It ropes you back in.
Yeah.
It's very useful.
Yeah, no, I did a good job. I did like the little Charles, like the pan, how he holds it like this and just the pan.
You learn from the best. It's useful to have someone running community relations to have that production background so that you can have your mind wrapped around the storytelling and the presentation of the events that you're going on while you're going on them, and kind of direct our people. But just before we get into everything that you do for the team, I want to give the folks at home a sense of just how much you do. Right before we jumped on, you told me about just your day-to-day. It's 3:20 in the afternoon right now. Alex, what have you done today? Wednesday, May 25th. What has been your day so far working for this team?
Yeah, well, I wasn't really working for the team, but I woke up, ate some food, brushed my teeth, picked out my shoes. I'm rocking New Balance 327s today.
Good so far.
Good. Yeah, really good day so far. I knew my outfit was on point, so it was going to be a heck of a day. I actually went to the Heritage School, which is an elementary school out in Charlton, Massachusetts, right here in Central Mass. And it was cool because we were able to read to the third graders there. Brought Smiley. We met at the ballpark. I had to pick them up here, and we ended up making our way there. Read to about, I think it was like 120 third graders inside an auditorium. The most ironic part about anywhere you go with Smiley is Smiley dominates the visit, no matter what. Yeah. No matter who it is, you bring a player, we can have Big Poppy come, and Smiley at an elementary school will dominate you. We had a fun time, kind of reading to them, and it was cool to see one of the ushers that's, on my staff who is a school teacher there, just kind of seeing and being in their element as opposed to, seeing them outside or inside the ballpark. Then I came back, I dropped off one of the players' cars at the auto shop. Shout out to 3B Auto down the street. And Amanda, Christian, they hook up all of us with our cars, our whips. And then I came back, the typical answer emails and sit on a couple of meetings. And then I went over to Gates Lane Elementary School here in Worcester to do the mentoring program that we have with Big Brother, Big Sister. I went to see my little. Shout out to my little. I'm not going to say his name because he's a minor and doing community relations. If you're under 18, can't say people's names. And then right after that, I came back here, couple meetings. I have my Moe's sitting on my desk, and I can smell it from here. So that's my day.
And he jumped on the WooSox Insider podcast. So you get a job for the WooSox Polar Park baseball, whatever it is. You could be running the Instagram story one day, reading to kids the next day. Alex has a bookshelf full of shoes, and he's reading to kids on mass scale. It's incredible the amount that you do here. You're the fourth mascot now that we've got Roberto.
Oh yeah.
So Alex, you're from North Attleboro, so really close to Pawtucket. You and I were hired at the same time in Pawtucket, but you do have ties to Worcester. You mentioned you're an Assumption University alum. What about Worcester did you experience while you were at Assumption that you fell in love with and that you've applied to your job in community relations with the WooSox now?
Yeah, for just to correct you, sorry about that. I don't like North Attleboro. We were rivals.
You're from Attleboro? My bad.
Originally from Attleboro, but yeah, no, it's we don't like North Jeff Caster. Yeah, no, it was when I came here to Worcester, to go to Assumption and thankfully I had the opportunity to play baseball. I don't know what it was about the city. I just remember coming here for literally the first time to go on a visit, and I was driving through 290 and I look out and I'm like, wait, this is the city, right? Like, this is Worcester. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, huh. Like, I don't see the massive skyscrapers that you see in Boston, that you see in New York. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of neat. It's a different type of feel, a different type of city. And then we made our way kind of driving through downtown a little bit. And then, you take the infamous and long, windy Salisbury Road all the way up to Assumption. going by WPI and seeing some of the really cool, beautiful neighborhoods, find out Bob Cousy lives on Salisbury Street, his home. And I was on campus. I fell in love with the campus itself, but then I wanted to really explore the city, and more so, I'm a big food person, the food scene here, and the different cultures that they have here from a food standpoint, because every culture has their own unique dish, their own unique cuisine. And I think that was the coolest thing for me. And the day that I actually came to visit was the day of the Caribbean Festival here in Worcester. And, my dad being from the Caribbean, and
they knew you were coming.
My mom being from Guatemala, my dad said, shoot, I'll pay the bill right now. We're sending you here. You are going here. So it was just a really cool, kind of first day, and just fell in love with it just because it's different. It's a different type of city.
They knew the Richardsons were coming. They knew that they had to back up the Brinks trucks, so that they were going to sell out that day of all the feast. That's incredible.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
So after your experience at Assumption, were you excited when the team was moving to Worcester in 2020, 2021?
Yeah. So I found out that the team was moving when I was actually in school, when I was a senior at Assumption. And the reason why and how I really got involved was because I had a professor, shout out to Professor Libby O'Hara over at Assumption. If you go to Assumption and you recently graduated, Libby. I think everybody here at Polar Park knows Libby. So she's just an amazing professor. I actually never had her in class because she's the head of the sports marketing, and I was a criminology major, and I wanted to go in law enforcement. And then one day I sat in her office and she was like, hey, the Worcester Red Sox, or at the time, the Pawtucket Red Sox, are announcing their move, and we're going to be part of the 21 founding partners. And I didn't know, being a senior at the time, I was like, that's cool. That's awesome. I want to become a police officer, but I'll stop by and see the games. And she was like, yeah, no, it'd be really cool. We have, Larry Lucchino, Dr. Charles Steinberg, Dan Ray, Jack Verducci, Kim Miner, all these, front office executives who are coming here to campus to make an announcement. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And she goes, we need one student to escort them in from the parking lot into the building that it's happening in. Who should do it? So I'll just start listing off, all the guys who are on my team, all my other friends, fellow student athletes from other sports teams who I knew wanted to work in the sports industry. And, she kept looking at me like, no. She said, what about you? I said, me. I was like, I want to become a police officer. Like, why would I do it? And she goes, just do it. And she gave me the look that I've only seen on my mother. That means whatever I say, you do. So I ended up doing it, and it was a week out. And during those 7 days, I literally walked the route, and I had my phone in my pocket, and I timed it to see how long I had, A, to talk to them, B, what the heck I was going to say to them, and then C, I wanted to brace myself too, make sure I was drinking enough water so I don't pass out, because it was a hot day. But it was a pretty cool thing, and that's how I ended up finding out about the move, finding out about the transition, and growing up going to games in Pawtucket, and then also falling in love with the new city, and then that same team that you grew up loving is moving to the city that you now adopted as quote unquote your new second home.
It all lines up. The stars all lined up. I got a great time getting to know you in Pawtucket, and then we come to Worcester, and you're like the mayor of Worcester. You already got all the roots here. It already has worked out perfectly. It's like they saw it coming. So you come from Assumption. You're working with the base there. You're still working with the base here, and it fits in perfectly for you to have a role here in community relations and to get involved with everything around here. Before we get into the base, because I know you had an awesome event this week, just about community relations with this team. We did a lot during COVID. We did a lot last year. We have the caravan now. How have you seen this team kind of evolve in your wheelhouse, your area of community relations from Pawtucket into COVID, into Worcester, and now that we got the caravan, it seems like this is like the end game. Like we're in the full throttle. We're in the community every week. Like it's really come to be like we're like I feel like the example to set for minor league baseball at this point.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. I think the hook that really got me to want to work in the industry, specifically, for this team was the community oriented and how community focused, we are and was at the time in Pawtucket. For me, the biggest thing is it's much bigger than just being a baseball team. And then for all these players, even when I was a student athlete at Assumption, it was much bigger than just going to the field, going to practicing, and then playing games. You have to be a part of where you're living, where you're playing, and you also have to utilize the platform that you have, whether that's being, one of our WooSox players or whether that's us as a baseball team as a whole, just using the resources that we have to impact the lives here in the city of Worcester, but not just in Worcester only, still impacting Rhode Island, still impacting all of New England, honestly. You have to go above and beyond. A, it's the smart thing to do. B, and most importantly, it's the right thing to do. So whether that's, taking 45 minutes out of your day to go to mentoring, once a week, or whether that is tagging along and volunteering, go to these community groups, community events that we have, even on those weekends that, those weekends that not all of us really get off, it's all worth it. And I think the biggest thing here in the city of Worcester that I think we've done a good job of, and I think we can always improve on every single year and get better and better and better at it, is just show people we care. You come to the ballpark, thank you. Thank you for supporting us. But we're coming to you because we care about you and we want to be just as part of the community as you are.
Going back to how Decaf was saying, and you were saying about earlier today, you were at mentoring. Can you go into more about what that is and how you got into doing that kind of thing? Because just knowing you around the workplace, you're always looking to give a helping hand and you're always looking to get to know everybody better. And you're always a smiling face whenever I see you around the park. So, how did you get into doing the mentoring?
I think for me, especially being a person of color working in the baseball industry, which there's not as many. I think they really are creating a pipeline. There's a lot of people, I think it's Tyrone Brooks, who works with Major League Baseball, working on a diversity and inclusion fellowship program that MLB has. Just being a person of color representing a community that's so diverse, being a familiar face. And I think, for me personally, I like taking it a step further. I think for a lot of, Black and Latino males and females, I think a lot of times that they think that their biggest success or their only path to success is playing sports. And for me, it brought me success up to the college level. And now working in kind of, quote unquote, the real world, I still have success and it's still evolved around sports. I may not necessarily be the one hitting leadoff, for the Worcester Red Sox, but I'm the one who knows the guy who's hitting leadoff, who went to an appearance earlier that morning to help impact the community. So for me, just physically and the appearance of who I am as a person of color, representing the sport of baseball, I think is for me the reason why I like being a mentor, not only to my little, but just any kid that I see, honestly, because at the end of the day, we all had hopes and dreams of playing at the professional level, and not everybody gets there, and that's perfectly fine. And it's just explaining to them and telling them that there's still a future in this sport that you love, even if you're not on the field.
And the mentoring you went to today is separate from the base, but the base is also mentoring, and you've been doing that for like 5, 6, 7 years, right?
Yeah, I've been with the base organization located in Boston before it was even invented. Actually, before it was just called the Boston Astros. It was just a AAU travel team that really focused on just getting kids from the inner city, the urban city in Boston, kind of off the streets playing baseball, using baseball as a vehicle to drive change, especially during the summertime. I mean, the summertime is when the most violence happens. That's when a lot of young people are out and about. Warmer weather, you're outside, school's out, you don't have school. So there's a lot of distractions that come about summertime. So the sport of baseball, literally saves lives. And I think Robert Lewis Jr., who created and started the base as a nonprofit organization, saw that with just the AAU team. And then he incorporated the educational component to it, the academic scholarship, the SAT prep classes, the tutoring lessons that they had, the incorporating basketball into it, because not everybody always plays baseball, they play other sports. So it's a free program in Boston that I was a part of. I was one of the first teams ever to be created, called the Base, and still do a lot of stuff with them. I mean, forever grateful for them. They're financially the reason why I went to college. Honestly, I wouldn't have been able to go to Assumption if it wasn't for the academic scholarship that the Base and Assumption, college granted me. I was in high school, so really cool program, and we've had some really good players out of there. I mean, I think of a current player right now, Ben Bowden, who's a relief pitcher, in the MLB, and I forget what team bullpen. I think it's the Rockies bullpen right now. We had a lot of guys who got drafted, a couple guys who, played at really good Division I teams, Division II, even had success at the Division III level. So it's just a really cool program that just shapes an overall good human being through baseball.
It's great to see that the Base is being recognized on a higher level every year. I know that they were invited as part of pregame ceremonies at Fenway Park a year ago, and that relationship with the Boston Red Sox has continued. As a couple Sundays ago, Alex, you actually got to play at Fenway Park with the Base. Is that right?
Yeah, we had our Base alumni games. So we had alumni from different generations, and we played at Fenway. We played against the current 18U team. It was actually in honor of one of our teammates that unfortunately passed away about 5-6 years ago during one of the summer times, due to gun violence. But it was really cool to have the photo of him up on the center field video board, and then also all of us coming together, playing the sport that brought us all together, and to do it at Fenway, awesome.
I was going to say, so the Base, college scholarship, incredible. Molding young athletes into America's greatest sport, amazing. You're playing at Fenway, man. I mean, this is the greatest organization of all time. This guy is hitting doubles off the wall in right field. I can't believe it. This is. I'm not even playing at Polar Park. You're playing at Fenway. This is amazing.
No, it was cool. It was really cool because going to games, and even if you sit front row, like that's still cool. But then to physically run out to center field or to walk up to the batter's box, which is also a very slippery spot, I found out that day.
The hard way.
I found out the hard way. It really is a cool experience that even just doing it once is memorable. I'll never forget that.
I mean, I don't know how you could. Nothing would have been better than putting one over the monster, but you still shot it out there. You one hop the wall. You got a face full of dirt immediately after hitting the ball. Was that a lingering back spasm from your battle ball experience, or is that completely unrelated? You're just a clumsy athlete.
Yeah, I as people said, you used to play, baseball. I was like, yeah, I played, about 30 pounds ago. And I don't think my swing adjusted to, my body weight now. So my feet just came out.
Hey, hit his count.
Why not, Rich? Why not?
Hit his count, kid.
Let's go, Sandoval.
Go, kid.
Good shit, Alvin. How you doing your thing? Oh yeah! Come on, baby! Oh yeah! Hey, give us something! Give us something!
From underneath me, and I knew it was going to happen too. I knew it because I didn't have any cleats. My cleats are sitting at my parents' basement, and all I had was these New Balance turfs, which you're meant to hit on turf with that. You're not meant to go into the batter's box and take a full speed swing. So I found out. So we got to put out disclosure for turf cleats.
You gotta keep the metal spikes in the bookcase just for safekeeping from now on. I think make sure you don't embarrass yourself.
I have to. I might have to get about 5 or 6 knowing myself.
You should just take over Ben Weingarten's room and fill it up with the rest of your shoes. The bookshelf's not enough for not having the cleats in there.
His room is ridiculous. You can't even see like an inch of the wall. Like it just has it's, half of it is Polar Park, half of it is like Fenway, the other half is Wrigley, and then the fourth wall is old Pawtucket stuff. And I'm like, Ben, like this. I walk in and I literally look at the wall and I want to pass out because I'm like, this is gross. This is too much.
There's never too much.
And the wild part is this is the person that we trust to literally design the ballpark in terms of the artwork and everything. Don't go to our apartment because if you look at his room, you're like, we are. There's no hope.
Hey,
Janet Marie
I
Smith
totally,
would not approve.
No.
I totally understand that. As someone who I have friends and family, I get home from work and they're like, "Hey, I'm starting a new business or I'm starting to stream. Could you make a video for me or something?" And I'm just like, "No, I don't want to take the work home with me. No, when I'm home, I'm home." And it's probably the same with Ben. He has to spend so much time thinking about how spread out every piece of wall art is at the ballpark and what should go here and what contrasts well with other things that when he gets home, he just wants to put the memorabilia on the wall, man. Cut him some slack.
I cut him some slack, but then all of a sudden, I wake up in the morning, this dude's on calls because he's working with, other teams in other parts of the world. So that the time zone, right, for all these different calls. Like I wake up at, 7, 8 o'clock. I want to take a shower. He's sitting at the dining room table, which is right in front of the bathroom. And if I walk by the screen in my bath towel, like he brings too much home. He brings too much home. I can't take a shower in my own apartment.
Airing out dirty laundry on the WooSox Insider podcast.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I live with a ballpark designer. I live with a clubhouse guy. And then there's myself. Like 3 just completely different type of individuals.
Listen, Ben helped us get a duck boat. He gets permanent passes for everything else that you might have issues with.
You can take his morning calls from the duck boat.
Look, you guys, I think, should just hop in the battle balls one day and sort out all of these roommate disputes. I want to ask this question to TQ because I feel like he'd be the fairest judge of what I think would be the most intense battle balls match of the year.
Oh.
If we watched earlier Alex's tape. He got hurt, but even after the injury, we saw after the injury of the first hit, he went out there and planted it again and laid out another hit in the battle ball suit. TQ, if we had Alex, me, and Dave in the suit.
Oh, man.
What's the biggest carnage? Who's coming out on top? Who's taking the hits?
I love you guys, but I'm not hitting the floor. Like, I'm sorry. It's not happening. Once I get moving, like Alex said earlier about when he was hit that double at Fenway, I'm like a bowling ball. Once I get moving, it's whatever's in front of me going down.
I think I am actually. I think I'm taking Dave. And here's my reasoning. Decaf, you're just the sweetest boy. You're so nice. You're just out there to have a good time. You're there for entertainment. I don't think you're going out there with a killer mentality that you have to have in the big blue bug battle balls. All right, Alex, you have a public image to keep up. You're out in the community every day. Dave is just a junior in college, rising senior at Endicott. You're out in the community. You're working with all these college kids. You're a mentor to so many people in New England, really. And then Dave is out here just scoring baseball games. And every time the battle balls come out, I look over to Dave, who's just at the score pad computer, ready to keep score. But there's no action going on. We're between innings. So he's just ready to go for the next pitch. I see Dave when the battle balls come out. And Dave is just sitting there leaning up as far in his seat as he can get, just licking his chops, rearing to go. And I think once he gets moving, that's exactly right. No one is gonna even slow him down.
All I gotta say is
you gotta move the kids back.
That was the thing. If you look at the video, when I hit George, he almost like fell on top of the kid.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad because I didn't see it because I texted you, TQ. I was like, yo, send me the clip. Like I thought I saw a glimpse of a kid right next to George. Like I need to see this. And then I see it and the kid almost got hit by like this much, you know?
Yeah.
But
narrow miss.
No, and I that is a fair assessment, TQ. I really do think it is. But I think for me personally, just being the dog that I am, you know, the dog that I was when I was playing high school football, you know, running track, ain't no shame in my belly game. So Dave,
Look, I want to throw this out there as well. I might be a real nice guy. Little people know this, was captain of the Trumbull High football team very briefly, and
Wait.
just for the preseason, then
Very briefly. Why brief?
I was freshman year the captain for 1 week as a punishment to the rest of the team, but on my college resume, got to put captain high school football team. Nonetheless,
we're gonna put the worst kid as the cap. Is that what you're saying? Like they wanted to have the worst kid and have him be the captain as
they
team
took
punishment?
all the regular captains. They said 3-game losing streak unacceptable. You guys are fired. This week is punishment. Dylan's captain. But in that week, I learned the ruthlessness that I started offensive line and defensive line that day. Put me in a battle ball suit, and I'm going to be looking at you like you're one of my teammates, calling me captain, ironically, for the 12th week in a row. And I'm going to send you that. Going to send that battle ball onto the berm.
We're gonna have to like actually do this.
Yeah.
We'll
Go back to this one day.
Non-game day, ballpark's empty.
In the streets, we'll go to the parking lot. I'll meet you in the purple lot.
Yeah, meet me in the
No,
purple
that's no fun. That's no fun. We have to do it when the ballpark is full. I'm talking like a Saturday or Sunday. We have the
non-game
bandwidth
day. We
that
sell
I
out
can-
just like a rumble in the park.
Yeah, I can score the third inning of the game if it means that Dave is getting down there.
Oh, I could
to
get back
lay
up.
the hammer.
I could get back up. Come on
Hey,
now.
When
I got
hit
it with
you, you ain't
RF.
getting up. When I hit you, you ain't getting up.
Nah, I got a pitch count to keep.
That's why I'm taking Dave. He's not doing it for the glory like you guys are. He's doing it so he can get back upstairs and keep a pitch count going.
It'll happen. It will happen. Fans.
So,
Yeah.
so Alex, you're not only on the field to lay the hammer during big blue bug battle balls. You're on the field meeting with the players, making sure that they're feeling good, that everything they need, they have. And you're on the field too, working with all of the ambassadors. So between the Polar Park ambassadors that you manage and between the players who have come through the Worcester Red Sox, what is the weirdest story you have on a game day in the last year and a half?
The one that I got, overseeing the ushers every game, and being on the front lines of the fan experience and the communication that we have on radio, they do an amazing job here. If you guys been to Polar Park, see everybody in the yellow polos, yellow jackets, that's the ushers. That's our team. I'll never forget, it was a camp day last year, and I have an usher who calls me on the radio. Hey, Alex, you have to come over here as soon as you can. You have to come to the home plate bar. I'm like, okay. So I come over and I see a crowd of people with ushers, with security, with EMTs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. Excuse me. Yep. I finally get to the front in the middle of the pack, and there's a little girl with her hand stuck up a hand sanitizer dispenser. And I was like, what in the world? I did not expect that. I thought somebody was passed out. I did not expect like a 12-year-old girl with her hand stuck inside a hand sanitizer dispenser. Yeah, literally like this. And we ended up, taking it apart. Good thing it wasn't one that was stuck on the wall, because that would have been terrible. But she told us that she put her hand to get it because it's by a sensor and it squirts out the hand sanitizer, but then it wasn't working. So she said I tried to put my finger up it to get it, and then it closed. So then her hand was stuck and the sensor's messed up to the point where like she literally can't get her hand out. So we had to take it apart. We brought her to fan services. I literally got a wheelchair. I put her inside the wheelchair. She's holding the hand sanitizer with her hand in it, just crying. I felt so bad. Every bump I hit, I'm like, ooh. Then she starts crying more. I'm like, oh gosh, like I hope her finger's okay. Finally, we get to fan services. We go to the EMT room. You know, Zach Johnson comes over. Shout out to operations. They did a great job. They're taking it apart. Everything was just great in terms of getting it physically off her. Her finger got free and there was not even like a scratch. And we're like, yes. And then she stopped crying. She ended up being okay. But the craziest part was Zach took it off. She stopped crying. We saw that she was perfectly fine. And then he looks at me and he goes, hey, make sure you get those batteries back. They're expensive.
I think that's all the time we have for now. This will be far from the last episode that we have Alex Richardson on the podcast. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you even more for being that smiling face that Dave talked about at the ballpark every single day. It's infectious. You see it in all the ushers too, and the ambassadors, and it's bled through into the production department, and that all starts with you, Alex. So thank you for all that you do here at Polar Park, and then thank you even more for everything you do in the Worcester community, especially as someone who grew up here. It's encouraging and inspiring to see everything you do going out of your way to make people here happy. So thank you for that.
Thank you guys. At the end of the day, our ballpark is our office. Can't get better than that.
It's our office. It's our home. It's our doctor's office. It's where we live our lives.
All right, Aros.
And if you wanna visit us at the office, tickets are available for the spring and summer. You can go to WooSox.com or call the ticket office at 508-500-8888. That number again, 508-500-8888. 48's at the end of it. But thank you all so much for listening, watching, enjoying, for shouting us out when you come to the ballpark. That always gives us a nice giddy feeling. That's always a lot of fun. We laugh and joke about it afterwards. So thanks to all the fans out there. Thanks to Alex. Thanks to Dave for putting it together. Thanks to Decaf. And we'll see you next time.
That's a wrap.